KTM was once a powerhouse in the motorcycle world, known for rugged, high-performance bikes that dominated off-road tracks. But now, factories are shutting down, again. Loyal riders and employees are left wondering, how did it all go so wrong? What caused the financial collapse of a brand that once seemed unstoppable? And can KTM survive the chaos? KTM's financial collapse. For decades, KTM stood as a symbol of rugged reliability and off-road dominance. Known for their aggressive designs and superior performance, their bikes became a staple in the world of motocross and adventure touring. Riders cherish the brand's reputation for delivering power and durability, making KTM one of the most respected names in the motorcycle industry. However, that once unshakable image is now crumbling. Earlier this year, KTM was forced into self-administration, a drastic measure akin to corporate survival mode. Financial issues piled up faster than the company could manage. The root cause? A series of poor sales, accumulating unsold inventory, and mounting debts that threatened to pull the company under. KTM found itself entangled in a financial mess that stretched beyond just declining profits. It was about maintaining credibility in the eyes of its stakeholders, dealers, and most importantly, its loyal customers. The first major blow came when the factory, once bustling with activity, ground to a halt. Production stopped, not once, but twice, leaving workers uncertain and management scrambling. Initially, KTM managed to temporarily resume operations by securing funding from Bajaj, their longtime partner and partial owner. This financial injection was meant to stabilize operations and restore confidence. Unfortunately, it was a short-lived victory. The factory doors closed again, this time due to a critical issue that KTM could not ignore: a severe shortage of essential parts. Inside the factory, the atmosphere was tense and uneasy. Workers gathered as KTM's CEO addressed them, delivering the news that production simply could not continue without the necessary components. The frustration was palpable. Employees faced an indefinite leave with no clear timeline for resumption. The once lively production lines now stood silent, the clattering of machinery replaced by the murmur of worried conversations. For many workers, this uncertainty was more than just professional. It was personal. Job security was now a distant hope. KTM's inability to secure critical parts reflected a much broader problem. Creditors were losing faith in the brand, and suppliers, fearful of not being paid, stopped deliveries altogether. The company's debts exceeded 548 million euros, with a substantial portion due by May 23rd. KTM's management was trapped in a financial labyrinth, needing both capital and renewed trust to get back on track. This situation was not just a failure of production, but a profound lesson in how financial mismanagement and supply chain failures can dismantle even the most iconic brands. But KTM's collapse didn't just hurt their operations, it's affecting their entire network of partnerships. Partnership fallout. The CF Moto split. When your key partner walks away, you know it's bad. CF Moto just did that to KTM. For years, KTM and CF Moto enjoyed a mutually beneficial relationship. KTM leveraged CF Moto's cost-efficient manufacturing capabilities in China, while CF Moto gained recognition by aligning with a respected European brand. This partnership was crucial, especially when KTM faced earlier downturns. CF Moto's robust manufacturing processes kept KTM's lineup moving even when European factories struggled. However, the recent turmoil proved to be too much for CF Moto to ignore. As KTM's financial crisis deepened, CF Moto announced it would no longer distribute KTM motorcycles in Europe. While the manufacturing partnership in China remained intact, CF Moto made it clear that it needed to pursue its own independent branding. This decision came as a blow to KTM, which had relied on CF Moto to maintain its presence in European markets. Why did CF Moto decide to break away? It was not just about finances, it was about reputation. Associating with KTM, a brand now marred by financial instability, posed a risk to CFMOTO's image. As a company on the rise, CFMOTO saw an opportunity to assert itself as a reliable, affordable alternative to premium European bikes. Analysts quickly pointed out that this strategic shift could help CFMOTO increase its market share as KTM stumbled. The consumer response was divided. Some riders expressed loyalty to KTM, citing the brand's legacy and their personal experiences with the bikes. Others, however, saw CFMOTO's move as a smart play, an acknowledgement that the industry is changing, and staying tied to a sinking ship could prove disastrous. Online discussions buzzed with debates about KTM's declining quality and CFMOTO's rise as a budget-friendly competitor. The split marked a significant power shift within the motorcycle market. As CFMOTO began to assert itself as an independent brand, KTM's reliance on its former partner became a glaring weakness. The lesson here is clear. Partnerships are only as strong as the stability of both parties, and when one falters, the other must adapt or risk being dragged down. But it's not just partnerships that are crumbling. KTM's entire supply chain is under fire. Supply chain breakdown. KTM's financial collapse triggered a cascade of supply chain issues. Suppliers, once reliable partners, began pulling back, fearful of not being compensated for their goods. Without critical components, ranging from engines to electronic parts, production ground to a halt. The logistical challenge became overwhelming. Even when KTM managed to secure limited supplies, the delivery time stretched out, making consistent manufacturing impossible. Suppliers were understandably hesitant. KTM's reputation as a financial risk made potential new partners wary. Legal battles over unpaid debts made it even more complicated. Initially, Bajaj's funding seemed to stabilize the situation, but it wasn't a long-term fix. The fundamental problem remained. Suppliers were not willing to risk delivering parts without guaranteed payment. The impact on production was severe. Major product lines, from off-road models to touring bikes, were paused indefinitely. Dealerships were left with bare showrooms, unable to fulfill customer orders. Those who had pre-ordered bikes faced delays stretching into months, damaging KTM's relationship with its core customer base. The repercussions went beyond KTM. As one of Europe's largest motorcycle manufacturers halted output, the market felt the tremors. Competitors like CFMOTO and Royal Enfield capitalized on the vacuum, pushing their models as stable and reliable alternatives. Financial analysts began warning that KTM's brand loyalty might suffer irreparable damage. As KTM's production falters, other manufacturers are capitalizing on the opportunity. It took a lot of digging and connecting the dots to bring you the real story behind KTM's struggles and Indian's bold moves. If you appreciate the research and the real talk, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more motorcycle news. The Challenger Elite. Luxury on two wheels. While KTM is fighting to survive, Indian is going all in on high-end luxury. Will this strategy pay off? As KTM's financial struggles dominate headlines, Indian Motorcycle is taking a radically different path. Instead of playing it safe or cutting costs, Indian has doubled down on luxury. At the forefront of this strategy is the Challenger Elite, a touring bike designed not just to ride, but to make a statement. While other brands are focusing on mid-range affordability or eco-friendly innovation, Indian is banking on the appeal of premium performance. The Challenger Elite is more than just a motorcycle. It is a declaration of status. Equipped with a 126 horsepower liquid-cooled engine, it blends brute force with smooth touring capabilities. The bike features advanced radar-assisted braking, blind spot warnings, and adaptive headlights, all designed to make long-distance travel not just comfortable, but intuitive. Indian positions the Challenger Elite as the pinnacle of touring luxury, catering to riders who want power without compromising on refinement. However, the price point has raised eyebrows. At around £35,000, the Challenger Elite enters a market segment where only the most passionate enthusiasts and collectors reside. This pricing strategy is not without risk. In an economy where inflation looms and disposable income tightens, many potential buyers are more cautious about such high-end purchases. Indian's gamble is clear. They believe that true motorcycle enthusiasts will still pay for craftsmanship and prestige, even if the general market leans towards practicality. Reactions have been mixed. Some riders applaud the attention to detail and powerful performance, while others question whether Indian is abandoning its core audience. The discussion has intensified on online forums, where longtime Indian fans debate the brand's direction. Some argue that embracing high-end touring models is a bold move that secures Indian's reputation as a premium brand. Others feel it alienates younger and more budget-conscious riders who simply cannot justify the cost. The tension between luxury and practicality is palpable. While some high-income riders express genuine interest, the younger demographic remains hesitant. Indian's challenge is not just convincing existing customers to upgrade, but also proving that such a premium product has a place in the current market. But the Challenger Elite is just one piece of Indian's luxury puzzle. Other brands are tackling the market from the opposite angle: affordability. The affordability factor. Can Indian's strategy hold? While Indian goes all in on luxury, the broader motorcycle market is shifting towards affordability. More riders are leaning toward practical, mid-range options rather than luxury tourers. Brands like CF and Kawasaki have taken note, offering bikes that focus on value without sacrificing essential features. This trend emerges as a direct response to the economic challenges that many potential buyers face, including inflation and job insecurity. Kawasaki, for example, is pushing innovation with its hydrogen-powered H2, aiming to balance eco-friendliness with traditional performance. On the other hand, CF continues to solidify its reputation as a budget-friendly alternative, particularly as it distances itself from KTM's instability. In this landscape, Indian's focus on luxury could come across as increasingly disconnected from the needs of the average rider. Indian's decision to embrace high-end touring is rooted in the belief that loyal customers will continue to support the brand. However, this perspective may not align with reality. While die-hard Indian fans might embrace the new models, attracting younger, budget-conscious buyers is an entirely different challenge. The numbers reflect a generational shift where practicality often trumps prestige. The dilemma is apparent. Maintaining brand loyalty while failing to attract new customers could hurt Indian's long-term relevance. As other brands adapt to economic changes and shifting consumer preferences, Indian's focus on luxury may ultimately seem outdated. If younger riders move away from high-end bikes, Indian's core customer base will continue to age, leaving the brand vulnerable. While Indian embraces high-end luxury, the market itself is splitting into luxury, budget, and hybrid approaches. Kawasaki's hydrogen gamble. Betting on the future. Kawasaki has always been known for pushing boundaries, whether it's through their supercharged sport bikes or their pioneering approach to emission standards. Now, the Japanese manufacturer is making one of its boldest moves yet, investing in hydrogen-powered motorcycles. The concept sounds futuristic, almost revolutionary. Imagine a powerful motorcycle with zero emissions, maintaining the visceral feel of an internal combustion engine while eliminating pollution. It's an ambitious vision, but can Kawasaki pull it off? The potential of hydrogen-powered motorcycles lies in combining environmental responsibility with the raw mechanical essence that riders love. Unlike electric bikes, which many enthusiasts criticize for lacking soul and sound, hydrogen bikes promise to retain the traditional engine experience. Kawasaki's prototype, the Hydrogen H2, recently made headlines after completing a demonstration lap at the Lemon Circuit. The bike features a 998 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine adapted to run purely on hydrogen. This development is part of Kawasaki's long-term plan to introduce production hydrogen bikes by the early 2030s. However, while the idea of hydrogen-powered motorcycles is appealing, the practical challenges are daunting. Storing hydrogen efficiently and safely on a motorcycle is a massive technical hurdle. The current prototype uses bulky panniers packed with hydrogen canisters, raising questions about practicality and everyday usability. Additionally, hydrogen refueling infrastructure is almost non-existent outside of a few major urban areas, and building a widespread network would require a colossal investment. Critics argue that Kawasaki's hydrogen gamble may be more about innovation theater than practical progress. Industry experts point out that while hydrogen works well for larger vehicles like trucks and buses, where size and storage aren't as constrained, motorcycles are inherently compact and space-limited. Even more concerning is the cost effectiveness. Hydrogen production remains expensive, and until green hydrogen becomes more widespread, the environmental benefits are limited. Despite these challenges, Kawasaki is pressing ahead. They argue that hydrogen motorcycles could preserve the thrill and auditory satisfaction of traditional bikes while meeting increasingly stringent global emission standards. Yet the industry remains skeptical. Some analysts believe Kawasaki is betting on a technology that may never become commercially viable, especially as electric motorcycles continue to improve in range and affordability. Kawasaki is taking a bold step, but the road to hydrogen success is paved with uncertainty. While Kawasaki pushes forward, it leaves one question: are riders ready for this much tech? Triumph's community-centric approach, reviving rider loyalty. In a market divided between luxury and affordability, Triumph bets on creativity and community to stay relevant. As the motorcycle market splits between high-tech luxury and affordable simplicity, Triumph has chosen a different path: community engagement. While brands like BMW embrace futuristic features and Kawasaki bets on hydrogen, Triumph leans into its heritage. The brand's Triumph Originals competition epitomizes this strategy, encouraging riders to customize Bonneville models and showcase their creativity. Triumph's approach is not about advanced tech or green energy. It's about building a sense of belonging. The brand knows that loyalty stems not just from quality machines, but from emotional connections. By involving riders directly through events and competitions, Triumph ensures that customers see the brand as more than just a motorcycle maker. It's a community builder. This strategy is crucial at a time when many manufacturers are losing touch with their core audiences. Triumph's decision to emphasize culture over technology is a direct response to rider sentiment. Many bikers want experiences, not just features. Community events like build-off challenges and factory tours help keep Triumph's image grounded and relatable. Triumph's focus on community has paid off. The Triumph Factory Visitor Experience continues to attract thousands of enthusiasts eager to see how their favorite bikes are made. This kind of transparency and hands-on involvement fosters a deeper bond between brand and rider, something many competitors lack. However, Triumph's decision to double down on community rather than tech could be risky. As the industry increasingly moves toward innovation and automation, Triumph's traditional approach might seem outdated to tech-savvy consumers. Yet, for now, the strategy appears to be working. By making riders feel like part of the brand's story, Triumph nurtures a loyalty that transcends the latest gadgets. Triumph's strategy relies on authentic connections rather than cutting-edge innovation or extreme affordability. But while Triumph builds loyalty, Harley faces an internal battle that could shatter its legacy. Harley's leadership crisis, a brand torn apart. Harley-Davidson, once the embodiment of American motorcycle culture, is now a brand at war with itself. CEO Jochen Zeitz's announced retirement has sparked a power struggle that threatens to tear the company apart. Major shareholder H Partners is leading a rebellion against the current leadership, demanding a change in direction as Harley's market share and profits continue to plummet. The hardwire strategy, once seen as Harley's path to modernization, is now widely criticized for alienating core customers. By focusing on high-end models and luxury features, Harley distanced itself from working-class riders, the very people who made the brand iconic. H Partners has launched the FreeTheEagle.com campaign, calling for an overhaul of leadership to salvage Harley's legacy. As Harley battles itself, its reputation suffers. Dealers report stagnant inventories, and longtime fans worry that the brand's identity is being sacrificed for short-term profits. The lack of clear direction is pushing some loyal customers toward rivals like Indian, which has managed to blend heritage with innovation more effectively. Harley's leadership crisis exposes a deeper identity problem, as the brand struggles to adapt to modern motorcycling culture. As Harley battles itself, the broader industry braces for another challenge: political and economic intervention. Labor unrest. Workers fight back. As the motorcycle industry continues to face economic upheaval, the people who feel it the most are the workers on the front lines. Sales staff and mechanics are under increasing pressure as dealerships struggle to stay afloat. The demands placed on employees have reached unprecedented levels, leading to burnout, frustration, and a growing sense of injustice. Sales staff in particular are feeling the squeeze. As dealership profits shrink, managers push their teams to meet unattainable targets. The pressure to sell more bikes, often at inflated prices, forces employees into uncomfortable ethical positions. To hit their quotas, some workers are encouraged to engage in dubious practices, like pushing financing options with hidden fees or upselling unnecessary add-ons. For many, it becomes a choice between keeping their job or compromising their integrity. Longer hours and reduced commissions compound the problem. Dealerships, desperate to maintain cash flow, slash wages, and extend working hours to cover for layoffs. The message to staff is clear: sell more or lose your job. This high-pressure environment takes a toll not only on morale but also on the physical and mental well-being of the employees. Many feel trapped in an industry that once symbolized freedom but now resembles a relentless grind. In response, dealership employees are beginning to organize. Mechanics and sales staff at several major dealerships have started forming unions to demand better pay and working conditions. A notable case emerged when workers at a leading dealership chain collectively filed a grievance, demanding fair wages and safer workplace practices. The movement gained traction as workers shared their stories on social media, finding solidarity in their common struggles. Predictably, dealerships are not backing down without a fight. Many employers have resorted to retaliation, threatening layoffs and implementing anti-union policies. Some managers pit employees against one another, fostering a toxic work environment to weaken collective bargaining efforts. Dealership owners argue that rising labor costs could force them to shut down, leaving communities without local motorcycle shops. The labor unrest within motorcycle dealerships reflects a broader instability. As the industry grapples with financial crises and changing consumer expectations, the workers who keep the wheels turning find themselves caught in a battle for survival. While the struggle for fair treatment continues, another force is gearing up to intervene: the government. But as workers fight for their rights, the government steps in, pushing for reforms that could change the industry forever. The government steps in. The outcry from motorcycle consumers and dealership workers has not gone unnoticed by lawmakers. As stories of predatory financing practices, hidden fees, and labor exploitation spread, politicians are being forced to respond. Some states, particularly those with a significant motorcycle culture like California and Texas, are leading the way with new consumer protection legislation. One of the most significant proposals comes from California, where lawmakers introduced a bill to regulate dealership practices more strictly. The proposed legislation would limit the ability of dealerships to tack on arbitrary fees and require full disclosure of financing terms before any purchase. The goal is to make motorcycle pricing more transparent, ensuring that riders are not blindsided by inflated final costs. Similar bills are being discussed in other states, signaling a potential shift in how motorcycle sales are regulated nationwide. The Federal Trade Commission has also taken notice, launching investigations into bait-and-switch practices at major dealerships. These investigations are a direct response to consumer complaints about deceptive marketing and pricing strategies. Class action lawsuits are piling up against some of the biggest motorcycle brands, with plaintiffs arguing that they were misled about the true cost of ownership. Not everyone agrees with these new regulatory efforts. Industry associations are lobbying hard to resist changes, claiming that stricter laws would hurt small, family-owned dealerships the most. They argue that higher compliance costs could push some businesses into bankruptcy, ultimately harming the local economies they support. The political divide is stark. Some lawmakers emphasize protecting jobs, while others prioritize defending consumer rights against corporate exploitation. If these regulations pass, the economic consequences could be profound. Smaller dealerships already struggling might be forced to close or merge with larger chains to survive the increased scrutiny. On the other hand, brands that already practice transparency and fair pricing could gain a competitive edge as consumers gravitate toward more trustworthy dealerships. Political intervention has become inevitable as consumer confidence continues to erode. The government's involvement is seen as a necessary step to restore fairness, but the industry remains wary of over-regulation that could stifle recovery. Yet as regulations loom, the most significant change may come not from the government, but from the riders themselves. As government scrutiny intensifies, consumers themselves begin to fight back in unexpected ways. Consumer awakening. Riders get smarter. The motorcycle community is waking up. For too long, riders accepted high prices, hidden fees, and long-term loans as the norm. But as stories of dealership manipulation circulate online, more consumers are taking matters into their own hands. The rise of online communities dedicated to exposing dealership tricks and teaching buying strategies is changing the game. Forums and YouTube channels have become valuable resources for educating riders. Videos explaining how to spot financing traps and avoid unnecessary add-ons are going viral. Social media movements encourage transparency and push for better business practices. Riders are also reviving the DIY culture, sharing maintenance tips to reduce dependency on dealership services. Education initiatives are emerging from within the community itself. Independent workshops and podcasts offer practical advice on how to navigate the motorcycle buying process. Riders are learning to scrutinize loan agreements and understand the hidden costs that dealerships often bury in fine print. This collective education is empowering a new generation of motorcyclists to make smarter purchasing decisions. Some riders are choosing a different path altogether, shifting from new bikes to restored classics. The appeal of fixing up an older model rather than dealing with high financing costs is gaining traction. Social media movements highlight successful private sales and encourage buying directly from other riders instead of dealerships. These grassroots efforts are transforming how people think about motorcycle ownership. As consumers become more vigilant, dealerships must adapt or risk being left behind. The most significant threat to their traditional business model is not regulation or competition, but a new breed of rider who refuses to be exploited. With riders becoming more vigilant, dealerships must adapt or face extinction, rebuild or collapse. With consumer habits shifting and political pressure mounting, the motorcycle industry must undergo a profound transformation to survive. Manufacturers are beginning to realize that the old ways of doing business will no longer suffice. To regain rider loyalty, they are developing affordable, durable models that appeal to younger generations. The focus is shifting back to simplicity and practicality. Bikes that are reliable, easy to maintain, and built to last. Dealerships, too, are rethinking their approach. Some are moving away from purely transactional relationships and transforming their spaces into community hubs. Hosting rider events, offering maintenance workshops, and fostering local riding communities are just a few ways they hope to rebuild trust. Honest pricing and transparent financing will be essential to restoring confidence. At the grassroots level, independent garages and rider-run initiatives are thriving. These spaces embrace the classic ethos of motorcycling, camaraderie, hands-on repairs, and a passion for the open road. Riders are finding a sense of community away from corporate dealerships, reconnecting with the spirit of freedom that motorcycling once promised. The survival of motorcycle culture will depend on rekindling that spirit and focusing on the rider experience rather than profit margins. Whether the industry will adapt or collapse remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The heart of motorcycling still beats in those who value the journey, not just the machine. The future of riding isn't just about machines, it's about the people who still believe in the freedom of the open road. What do you think? Will KTM bounce back, or is the brand too far gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the motorcycle world, hit subscribe and give us a like to stay in the loop.